Hey guys, thought I'd put up another vid. Just gonna wing it here. I pulled up Helio Viewer, and if you watched any of my last two vids or my vid on 4.6, which first identified this magnetic resonance imaging pattern that's first appeared around the sun, it's still showing on certain wavelengths. This is on the SOHO satellite at the 304 wavelength. And each wavelength measures different elements, I believe. I'm not sure exactly, but anyway, it doesn't show on all of them. It shows on the 304 and somewhat on the 195. On the SOHO, you can see the pattern. And if okay, then I got it pulled up over here as well. This is on the SDS satellite telescope shot. You can see here's the grid, magnetic resonance grid pattern on the 94 angstrom, and let's see, I think it's 335. Yeah, that's where it first showed up on my 4.6 video from that Mayenhausen UFO channel video. And as you can see, it's still showing up. Then, as I pointed out in my last couple vids, that it's also showing up here on Earth in the cloud pattern. So this suggests to me that somehow that Nemesis binary twin sun is in the neighborhood, and pretty much of a magnetic equilibrium has been established between the Earth and the sun and this Nemesis binary twin. I don't know, but seems to be affecting both regions of our solar system fairly equally now. Now, back on 4.6, when it first turned up on the sun, on that Mayenhausen vid, on the 335 angstrom, I don't believe that it was showing up here on Earth in the clouds at that point. I think this just started maybe around the beginning of June. Now I got the space weather stuff pulled up back 300 frames. It's as far back as I can go. These are all three are synced here. And then these Fock radiation belts, they're both synced and relatively synced to these three. But as you can see at the low energy, this is at the low end. This measures low energy electrons at a low energy range. And you can see the low energy electrons don't seem to be quite as prevalent as they were on the 619 video I made. But it looks to me like the high energy electrons are getting higher. So this suggests to me that perhaps the Nemesis, which is mostly electrons, our sun being mostly protons, and it's being our binary twin, that perhaps it's getting a little closer to the Earth or having more of an effect on the Earth. You can see here we got the purples and the blacks really building up, and I'm pretty convinced now that the purples and blacks are high energy, and even WSO alluded to this, whereas before he was trying to say that it was no energy, but then maybe probably seen my videos, or perhaps he came up with it on his own. He's determined that it's also high energy, but then he starts pointing out stuff about the energy leaking in from the backside, and then he goes to a solar system scope and starts showing Jupiter, which is way out here. to try to justify all this high energy leaking in from the backside and this pressure. He's a COINTELPRO. What can I say? Enough said. I got the evidence on that if you want to see it. But anyway, then as I pointed out in my last video, the normal magnetopause positions around the 10 Earth radii. This stands for Earth radii. So you can see it's hovering below 10, and it's getting all crumpled up here and there. This shows the cut looking right down on the Earth. You can see the solar wind coming from this side. This is the lit side. That's where the sun would be over here. And normally the solar wind arrows should all be going away from the Earth, from right to left. But as you can see, they're getting turned and twisted around quite frequently. We covered this before. There's the IMF field lines. We have 9 planets. So there shouldn't really be a gazillion blue interplanetary magnetic field lines unless there's another solar system present with its own magnetic field generated by Nemesis, and it's said to be like 7 planets or so. So anyway, there you have that. Here's the GOES 16 satellite water vapor imagery at the low level. Get 3 levels. Normally the Weather Channel or AccuWeather anyway, they'll give you this mid-level shot. And that's pretty much basically where the storms and stuff develop, thunderstorms. But for our purposes, we'll put it on the low level. It shows more of the dry air, which, as I pointed out before, is laced with acetic acid, which blows up the chemtrails clouds. As you can see, this dry air leaking in, blowing up these clouds, killing the thunderstorms, which also kills the CAPE index. And here's the CAPE index. It measures the atmospheric potential energy in the atmosphere. Just to recap, you can see that we have some kind of a NextRad or TTA facility out here that's pumping frequency right at our country and a great part of Mexico, because the potential energy atmosphere greatly increases across this line. And as you may know, there's really no straight lines in nature. So there we have that. But if you click on the clouds, total cloud cover, you can see there's not a whole lot of cloud cover. But if you click on the middle cloud, that's where your thunderstorms and stuff develop. And as you can see, with this dry air present, it's pretty much blowing up all those thunderstorms. We'll put it back on the CONUS view, which is continental United States. So you can see the dry air, acetic acid coming in here, blowing up these clouds, eating them up, rather, erasing them. And wish I could put it on a split screen, but there's your potential energy. So you can see the CAPE indexes are really low. Here's states. You know, the storms rolled through here last night, rolled through Kansas and Oklahoma and into Arkansas. But apparently folks are waking up and they're putting out the vinegar. So that's killing the storms. Now here's Earthquake 3D. I paid the extra $20 to get the feature which shows the depth of the earthquakes. So if you see these raised circles above the globe, that indicates how deep the earthquake is. Inversely speaking, and if you click on kilometers, it shows you how deep they are. This is the one I want to look at. Look at that, 646 kilometers deep. It happened in the last 2 or 3 days. And it's right in Indonesia, which corresponds to Krakatoa volcano, which just became active. And then also saw a report from Forbidden Knowledge News that this Toba volcano might be becoming active. And that's a real bad one. Super volcano that they say erupted like 77,000 years ago, or 74,000 years ago, which pretty much blanketed the whole planet in volcanic ash. So you see, there's Toba. It's Krakatoa. We're fairly close. There's Krakatoa. Toba's up here. And that deep earthquake is right here. So that would be Krakatoa. There'd be Toba. There's the deep earthquake. Of course, we've had a bunch of deep earthquakes over here by New Zealand. And if you watch Dutch Cinch's channel, which his videos are way too long, I wish you'd shorten them up, Dutch, and make them more specific. But anyway, whenever there's deep earthquakes, that usually indicates there's going to be much larger, shallower ones, up to like 2 magnitude points higher, and a shallower close to the same region, unless there's volcanoes present, and they take some of the pressure away from the seismic pressure generated from the deep earthquake, and good chance they might start erupting. So if Krakatoa and Toba start going off, forget about it. And of course you still got Kilauea going crazy, and the lava's getting hotter, so that means it's coming from deeper within the earth, which corresponds to these deep earthquakes, in my opinion. Let this run a second. Crazy stuff, guys. And if you subscribe to Forbidden Knowledge News channel, Chris Matchow, he puts out some good vids on, and they're quick too, short. But they posted one recently a few days ago that showed there's 91 volcanoes currently active or in the potentially active stage, maybe not fully erupting, but 41 volcanoes are fully erupting now worldwide, and the average is around 20. So things are heating up, guys. And I would submit to you that it is due to the presence of this nemesis system, which is energizing our planet, because our magnetosphere is breaking down. I think some of the energy is being pulled from our planet by the nemesis binary twin, and therefore our magnetosphere is getting weaker. And at the same time, it's also energizing the planet with flooding of electrons, which is heating up the magma and so forth. That's my theory. So to recap, there's the clouds, the magnetic resonant grid pattern on our clouds on Earth, and this has been every day for at least the last week or so. Here we have it by the sun.